Amazing. Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, Zane, Bill, Janice, whole music team. There's a story of two men on a tandem bicycle riding up a steep hill. They get to the top, and the one in the front turns to the one in the back and says, "Man, that was really hard, wasn't it?" And the guy in the back said, "Yeah, and if I hadn't kept the brake on the whole time, we would have slid backwards." I love that because don't we all do that as human beings? We keep the brake on. We maybe think we're moving forward or getting up the hill or leveling up, as my daughter says, level up. But there's a part of us that is holding us back. The part of us that keeps the brake on. We don't want to slip backwards. It might be scary if we go backwards. It might be scary if we get to the top. But what's at the top but a better view? A broader view, a more expansive view. Churches do that too. Spiritual centers do that too. Just churches. But we have to keep evolving. We have to keep growing. We've had the Hubble Space Telescope in the sky for a lot of years, and last Christmas they launched the James Webb Space Telescope. Probably some of you have seen some of the pictures. The pictures are just coming out. They're amazing. This is man's continuation of wanting to evolve and grow and learn. And they've been building this telescope for 25 years. And they're discovering things that they didn't expect and lots of galaxies that they didn't know existed. And it's just fascinating to see the clarity of these pictures. It's like getting to the top of a hill. You see so much more, and it's so much clearer. I like to share that story because our kids are outside today doing Rocket Day. And they're launching rockets with Dave Abbott outside. They're having fun. But this is what religion attempts to do, to help us with the mysteries of life. How do things work? Why are we here? These last two chapters we've been working with Reverend Paul John Roach's book, Unity and World Religions. This is the last week of this series. I said in my sneak peek, some of you may be like, yay, we're done. Some of you are like, oh, I wish we weren't done. But these last two chapters are about a smorgasbord and the future of religion. And there's so much stuff in both of these, like, oh, okay, I'm going to attempt to pull a little bit of it together. But if you want all the detail, there's a lot of detail and a lot of religions and a lot of stuff in those two chapters. So get the book. I think we have one in the bookstore left. Yesterday, I got a infusion of Reclass, which is a drug that I get once a year. This is my second time for osteoporosis, to help build back bones, to help strengthen my bones. And I was thinking about that, how religion is like the bones, it's like the structure of our lives. Or it can be, if we allow it to be. We looked at, during this series, 6 major religions, but there are, in the history of humankind, about 100,000 different religions. When you look at all the indigenous and Native Americans and all the tribes in Africa, and there are just so many different religious beliefs. And just this morning I read that even elephants have rituals around burials. Like, religion has been around for many, many years, 11,000 years of recorded history, but it goes back even farther than that. And the bones of each of these religions are what we've been looking at, the outward rituals, the outward practices and beliefs, that intuitive or unitive thread that among all of them, the truth that is among all of them. That's what we've been looking at these past few weeks. It's interesting that all of them have a creation story. All of them have some explanation of how we came to be. We don't know. They're stories. They all have an attachment to nature, a sacredness about nature, about especially about trees. There's a tree of life. There's a tree of knowledge of good and evil. The Buddha sat under the tree of enlightenment. Jesse's stump came out of a tree. There's lots of trees in each of the religions. It's the fascinating things with the roots and how they grow so strong. There's this interconnectedness among all of the religions. And most religions believe they're the final word of God. Most of them think, this is it, we finally got it, there's no need to go any further, we got it. Just tell that to the Greeks and the Romans and the Druids and the Norse. Religion evolves with the times. Evolves with the times. It has to. As we people evolve, religion has to keep evolving with us. I love that unity is a real fusion of Eastern and Western religions. We take a little bit from many different practices, and a lot of them do as well. Think about Christianity came about because a rebel Jew didn't like what was going on. Buddhism came about because a rebel Hindu, Siddhartha, didn't like what was going on with the Hindus. It takes something to bring us out, to move beyond just the bones, the structure of it, into having a real heart and soul connection with life. There's a general belief that religion is on the decline in this society, in this day and age. We think it's going downhill. God is dead and all that. But Pew Research did a poll in 2015. I know that seems like an ancient time ago, 7 years, but at that time they thought, before that poll, they thought that 84% that was expected to grow, that the 84% of the population believed in God or a higher power. And by the year 2050, based on all their demographics and all their rates of mortality and births and deaths, that it would be 87% by 2050, that it would actually increase slightly. And that was before we had a pandemic. That was before a lot of crises where people usually tend to want to embrace their spirituality. We start seeing the end getting closer, or possible end getting closer. So if religion is about the bones and the structure, then spirituality is about the heart. And many people identify with nuns, N-O-N-E-S. They identify with the non-affiliated or unaffiliated with any type of church. You think about it. If I'm doing a poll myself, I'm not going to check the box that says I'm a Christian. I don't resonate with that word, and nothing else seems to apply. There's no unity checkbox. There's no new thought checkbox. So I would also check spiritual but not religious or other. And they expect in North America and Europe for this to grow from 16% in 2015 to 26% in 2050. More and more people looking at the heart and soul of spirituality instead of the rituals and the structure. What does that mean for us here in Unity, in this building? I don't know. What does it mean? I don't know. But we're looking for a direct experience of the divine. Direct experience of the divine. That's what spirituality is all about. Us being mystics in our own lives, having that direct connection, not being told how to do it, but being able to just feel that. Stephen Levine wrote an article called Leaning Toward the Light. It's in the Handbook for Spirit, which is a book that I'm reading for my spiritual direction program. And he says this: "It may be said that God cannot be known in the mind, but only experienced in the heart. You cannot know God. You can only be God. You can only be God. We can't have an intellectual understanding of this great mystery that is spirit, that is life, that is this force, whatever you want to call it, the field, whatever name you give it. We have to experience it. We can't understand it. We can't put words to it. That's why we want to get to the heart and soul of spirituality, to make sense of the world, to stand in that mystery that says, why are we here? Where did we come from and where are we going? What is the purpose of all this? What's the purpose of life? When you look at these galaxies from the James Webb Space Telescope, it's a mouthful, they're incredible. These galaxies, we're like this tiny little blip dot, on a pinhead compared to the vastness of everything that's out there. Why are we here? What are we doing here? And how do we find meaning and happiness? How do we find that in this little blip of a life that we have? We need to know there's more than just this life. Human beings need to know there is something greater than what we experience with our five senses and what we experience in this earthly body. We need to know this. Voltaire was an 18th century polymath, and he was a real critic of religion. And he said, if God did not exist, it would be necessary to invent him. That people need to know there's something greater. They need to know this. Religions attempt to provide a framework for this, where we can sit with the questions, where we can be in community with the questions, where we can be together. You'll never walk alone, as Leonard so beautifully sung for us. We need to know we're not alone. Each of us has these burning questions in our hearts. Maybe we're not fully aware of them, but they're there. It's our minds that need to know and need to control. We need to know that we're right. But that separates us. It keeps us small. It keeps us from a direct experience of our own divinity. Stephen Levine goes on to say in this same article, to let go of control is to enter into creation in the act of becoming. We discover who we have always been when we stop attempting to become better than who we really are. The very desire to be better than who we are is to have forgotten God. We need not be one iota different to directly experience the absolute vastness of our true being. We don't have to change one iota. Just right where you are, right now, you can experience your divine essence. You can know that you are so much more than this body, so much more than these five senses. We need to allow it. Don't be putting on the brakes as we're going up the hill. Don't put on the brakes as we're attempting to expand our awareness, expand our consciousness. It can seem like we're really far away from this. I just lost all my notes. Well, maybe that's a good thing. We need to be infused with spirit, infused with it. Infused with it, like I was infused with reclass. Let it be in every part of your body. Let it permeate your five senses. Let it permeate your consciousness. That's what spirituality is all about, having that direct experience of that. And then what if it's just letting go of all those labels that we put on ourselves, that we put on other people, how we judge. Reverend Paul talked about in his book this golden thread of truth that was woven through all the world religions. He also talked about a thread that was woven through of judgment. That each of the religions, major world religions, have this sense of duality, that they've got the answers, that they are right, that they know. And what if we just let go of that? What if we just knew we were loved? What would happen then? Let's play the video. I just love that. How do you feel with that? Just that heaviness, all those labels that we let others put on us, all those labels that we put on ourselves, all those labels we put on other people, when all we really need is to know we are loved. And they just drop away. Know that you are loved. Know that beyond anything else that you are loved. This is what I believe, and Reverend Paul talks about in the book, that the future, the religion of the future needs to be more about that. Needs to be less judgmental. Needs to be more playful, more loving, more fun, more lighter. Know that we are loved. And answer the question, how can we be that love that we were created to be? How can we be it? How can we express it? How can we share it? How can we let other people know that they're that too? That's the question. Otherwise, it's not relevant. Otherwise, what's the point of all of this? Know that you are loved. Reverend Paul says in the book Unity in World Religions, if spirituality is to remain relevant, not just as an individual practice, but as an influential force, there must be a dramatic shift from the relative complacency of the status quo to a realization that the essential teachings of love, equity, and oneness are actually keys to survival. It's what we need to survive. We need to evolve, to this place. Religion needs to evolve to this place of stop thinking we're the only ones that have the answers. We're not. Unless the answer is love. Unless that's the answer. And when we look at society today, it can seem like we're so far away from that. It can feel like at times, I know I feel that way at times, that what are we doing? Where is all this going? When are we all just going to love each other again? And I can feel that way until we do something like we did here yesterday. When we packed over 20,000 meals, raised $12,000 for Colorado Feeding Kids. It opens my heart to see us do something like that. It expands us. We see the love, we see the sharing, we see the coming together. It's so touching. And then next weekend, I get to facilitate a women's retreat, bringing women together who so need each other. It's such an honor to be a part of this community that's making a difference. I want to keep handing out loved labels to all of you, so that you know that you're loved. If not in my imagination, not physically, but in my imagination, I'm doing it. I'm handing them out to you. We inspire this in this community. And I hope you realize that. There's so much that we do that is love-based. It's love in action. So this week, I invite you to think about the labels that you carry around with you, that you have stuck all over you, that you're projecting out to the world. Are they still serving you? Or is it time to just have that one that says loved, so that all the others fall away? None of the others matter. Think about one label this week that you hold on to. Is it time to release it? Has it reached its expiration date? Some labels, run out of time. Are you ready and willing to do that? Are you ready and willing to be that love that you came here to be in this life? Be infused with the Spirit and know you are loved. Be infused with it. Let it be part of all of you. Because when you do that, then you've got a quest, and you can dream the impossible dream that we're going to hear from Leonard in just a moment. Namaste. Peace be with you.